Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 57 of the Dear Herbalist podcast titled Back to School, How to Fortify Your Children's Bodies. Now, today we are going to talk about how you can help support your children's health during this school season using herbal medicine. I've been seeing a lot of questions about how can I boost my children's immune system? They're getting ready to go back to school. What do I do? Well, I'm getting ready to give you some advice. Now, today, get your pens, get your paper, get your notebooks ready because I'm going to be giving you a ton of information today. Information to help you have some information on hand to guide you in creating your own herbal medicine cabinet, okay? So that you are prepared for yourself and for your children. Now, the podcast is Dear Herbalist. So I'm always speaking to herbalists, but I'm also speaking to plant enthusiasts and anyone interested in herbal medicine. So for my fellow herbalists out there who may have clients that you see, you want to give them some of this information, feel free to do so, as well as any product making herbalists. Pay attention today because there's some information in here for you as well on how to create some herbal remedies for your clients as well that could help them fortify their bodies this upcoming fall season. Now, when I say school, I mean all types of schools. So that includes homeschool, okay, unschooling, schooling, as they used to say back in the day, being around humans, period. I'm talking to everyone out there. Now, before I begin, let me just say this, okay? Please don't think that just because your child is not in school, that they won't need the same fortification that a child that goes to school would need. If your child is in any type of activities, if they're around anyone that has a pulse, okay, if they go with you to the gas station, to the grocery store, to the movie theater, if they're around people, they need that fortification. As long as they are out interacting with humans, they need to fortify their systems as well. And it can be done. I also want to mention too, before I dive in deep, diet plays a huge role in fortifying your children. Okay? Don't think that you can give them sugary, artificially laced foods, sodas, junk. On top of that, overstimulation from too much screen time, not enough rest. All right? And think that you're going to pop in a pill or pop in some sort of herb and everything is going to be okay. It does not work like that. You are going nowhere fast, right? So diet plays just as much of a role in health and fortifying the bodies of yourself and your children as does using herbs. Okay? What do they need to do? They need to start eating fresh fruits and vegetables if they don't already, clean meats if they so choose, get exercise, which is outdoors running around. Doesn't have to be anything structured. If they're in sports, that's great. Rest, drink plenty of fresh water. But each day, they have to be doing these things. The other thing is each day, have a bath or a shower, preferably before bed, right? So they can get all the yuckiness off of the day. And they should hop into clean sheets and pajamas every night. All right? This kind of helps their body not have to deal with the junk that's been laid on top of their skin, okay? Or whatever's on top of their skin climbing into their bed and they're just soaking in whatever it could be, okay? All through the night. All right? So right now, let me tell you what you should be doing. This is kind of where you want to start when trying to figure out how should I fortify my children's system? You always have to start out with a plan. Start out gathering information. So right now, you should be making your list of common household issues that you or your children typically deal with. Okay? And jot down next to whatever that issue is, where in the body does it take place? Okay? Where in the body does it take place? Is it in your lungs? Is it in your stomach? All right. Now, why is this important? Because you want to be sure that you are selecting the herbs, right, that have that affinity towards that particular organ. meaning that it likes that organ. It works with the organ. As soon as it hits that organ, it's time to shine, meaning the herb, right? After that, now you want to look at, okay, what type of herbal remedies are going to address these particular issues, and start pulling together or purchasing, because sometimes people are like, I don't want to make my own, or I don't know really how or where to start and all that. But you can start purchasing your products from other herbalists as well to kind of help you and at least store them in your cabinets. All right. Now, these herbal products that you create, make sure, or even essential oils, make sure they're geared towards the common issues that you deal with. Okay. Now, some people may say, well, I mean, we're typically healthy and we don't really deal with too much, during, the winter, maybe a little drainage or the common cold, or, nothing too serious. Well, let's start to look at some of the top 5 common illnesses that occur in the fall and winter. And after that, I'll kind of go through each one in a little bit more detail, and then give you some herbs that you can use or that you can recommend to your clients to use to address these issues. Now, with these herbs, because I want to also be mindful of the time, you want to research, how can I prepare these herbs? What's the best way that I can administer these herbs? That is very important, because some herbs are best administered as tinctures, right? Because as soon as you pop it under your tongue, it gets straight to your bloodstream. Some are best as herb rolled pills. Okay. Now, what they used to do back in the day, okay, they take the powdered herbs, usually put a little honey in there, roll it up, and you take it from there. Soon as you pop it in your mouth, okay, as soon as it hits your tongue, the body knows exactly what to do with it. It starts creating enzymes and things to help break it down. It knows exactly where it's going. That's the beauty of the human body. However, if you take, let's say, you put your powdered herbs in a capsule, you encapsulate it, okay? The body might not necessarily immediately know what to do with it until that capsule or that shell is broken, okay? So I'm a big advocate. I don't care how nasty it is. It ain't for you anyway. It's for your body. Roll those pills, maybe put a little cinnamon on top or something, and then just choke it down. Get you some water and just let your body taste it. So that way it knows exactly how to break it down. Again, this is working with the body. So some of your remedies may be best by herb rolled pills, depending on what issue you might be dealing with. Some may be better as a suppository. Something that you inject into your rectum or your children's rectum, depending on what the case is. Okay? So with these herbs, make sure that you know in your research, okay, because I can't give you everything right here, but in your research, make sure that you go and look at, these are the herbs that I would like to use. Can I mix them together? And what is the best way to administer these herbs so that they can get to my children, or that can get to me, or if I have clients, I can tell them on how to do that. All right. So let's look at some of these common illnesses. Number 1, respiratory infections. So this includes the common cold and flu. And I'm trying to figure out how to say this word. C19. We'll maybe say that. Hopefully they don't get me or flag me for that. Anytime they see herbalist and then that word, for some reason, the algorithm, it just does wonky things. So hopefully it'll let me slide with that. I don't know why we can't say those together, but I kind of do know why, right? But we're going to leave it at that. So respiratory infections. So common cold and flus. Now these viral infections are prevalent during the colder months. And some symptoms can include congestion in the chest, runny nose, congestion in your nose, cough, sore throat, as well as a fever. Now during this time, you want to understand what specifically is the body doing. And a lot of these symptoms are the body's way of ridding itself of whatever toxins that you may have ingested or have had exposure to or access to. Okay? So students, kids in school, or anywhere else amongst humans, are often exposed to these viruses through close contact with other students that may have some sort of cold or flu. Also, if they share surfaces, sneeze and then touch you, don't wash their hands, dig all in their clothes, all of that kind of stuff, okay, airborne droplets, these things can get into your child's system, okay? And if their immune system is weak and it can't fight it off, then it will give whatever the pathogen, as we call disease-seeking organism, it will give it an opportunity to grow and overspread, and then the body is ramping up the efforts. Okay, so that's where the runny nose comes from and the cough, because the body's trying to get rid of these type of things. Now with C19, this is a respiratory illness that can cause a wide range of symptoms, okay, including cough, fever, and shortness of breath. And it's quite similar, if you look at the research, to the cold and flu. All right, and you can get it through respiratory droplets, coughing, sneezing, people touching stuff and not washing their hands, which is just gross, but it happens. All right. So during this time with your children, you want to amp up the vitamin C. A herb that is very strong in working with respiratory issues is Eastern white pine. So you want to harvest some in your area, in your neighborhood, figure out where it grows, because I know it grows where you are. It grows everywhere. Find you an Eastern white pine, harvest the needles, wash them, dry them, and you can either make tinctures out of them or you can use it for tea. It's really good. It has a light, sweet kind of taste to it, so the kids will love it, and it'll also support their respiratory system if they have any onset of issues. All right, another issue that kids tend to deal with, gastrointestinal issues, so stomach stuff, stomach flus, right? And these symptoms could be vomiting, diarrhea, stomach cramps, okay? And it can spread through contaminated food, water, surfaces. In addition to if somebody else may have some sort of a stomach bug, it can happen. I know oftentimes I used to see kids at school sharing food. I'd take a bite, ooh, taste this, try this. And I used to tell my kids, don't eat after people. Oh, they washed it. Did you see them wash it? They said they did. Well, look, you better put it back. We don't know. Unless you saw their mama wash it or daddy wash it, scrub it. And even sometimes if you did, do not share food. But if you're not around, right, you don't know if they're sharing or not. So gastrointestinal issues are common during this time. Another issue during this time is bacterial infections, strep throat, right? So this bacterial infection is common in children, and it causes them to have sore throats, fevers, and stomach aches. And it spreads through respiratory droplets and close contact with those that are infected. Okay? So strep throat is another one that people deal with. Mental health issues. Oftentimes this is a forgotten about subject when you're talking about health issues, but mental health is just as important. Okay? So they have something out there called the seasonal affective disorder. Sad, right? Crazy way to name it. But it says this form of depression occurs during the fall and winter months due to reduced sunlight exposure. So you may have symptoms of fatigue or sadness or difficulty concentrating. All right? Students are affected by shorter days, less sunlight, and stress of academic demands. So during this time, you want to spend more time with your kids. Come up with some games and things that you can all do as a family. Not every mental health issue should be met with medication. Matter of fact, most mental health issues don't really need medication. All right? That shouldn't be your first response to it. Spend some time with your kids, okay? No matter, life can get busy, bills and all this other stuff can go on. Trust me, I know. But especially during these times, you're cooped up in the house anyway, rather than saying you go to your room with your video games and I'll go over here with my sports, or I'll go over here with my shows, and everybody kind of going off into their silos. Make some time to spend time with each other. That way, no matter what, you're keeping your spirits uplifted. Find a reason to laugh. And then the fifth one that kids typically could deal with is any type of skin or joint conditions. Okay, so that could be dry skin, eczema, these type of things. And cold weather and indoor heating can lead to dry, cracked skin and exacerbate joint pain. Okay, especially in individuals with arthritis. So these conditions are influenced by changes in humidity and obviously the barometric pressure of our atmosphere. The skin conditions, especially dry skin and stuff like that, can be addressed with salves. So whatever herb you decide to use for that, you can consider using salves. All right. Now, exposure factors. Let's look at some of that. First of all, indoor crowding. So during colder months, students spend more time indoors, leading to closer proximity and increased chances of spreading germs and viruses. All right. Another exposure factor is reduced sunlight, like we talked about. Less sunlight in shorter days. It can disrupt your circadian rhythm and your vitamin D production. Okay. This can also weaken your immune response as well. So you want to consider boosting your children's vitamin D levels. And they're like, well, how do I know if they're low? Get a vitamin D level test with your doctor. Okay. Have them check to see where your levels are. And if they are low, raise them. Okay. Some doctors are like, you don't really need all that. Or you shouldn't do that. Or why is that really necessary? Well, because it's low. And the body has to function at optimal levels. It needs every single vitamin on deck. And if it's low, put it where it needs to be. Okay. Same thing for your children. Environmental changes as well. Cold air, dry air. These things can dry out your nasal passages, making it easier for viruses to infect your respiratory system. Right. So for those type of things, you can use herbal teas, herbal syrups that can address these issues. You can look at using herbs such as mint, oregano, eucalyptus, ginger, honey, garlic. All right. You can make herbal syrups. One of my favorites is an herbal syrup that I make, especially for my kids. It's an herbal cough syrup, so to speak, a respiratory syrup. I make it with honey and garlic. I used to crush up onions in there as well, but I try to make it as strong as possible. Now, initially when my kids ate it, they were like, oh, this is disgusting. But you in there coughing and barking like a dog, we need to go ahead on and get that honey garlic syrup going on. And they always end up feeling better. So that's awesome. Always have, as a rule of thumb, some oregano oil on hand. It is a natural antibiotic. Okay. And in terms of sugar and sweetness, make sure that you substitute honey wherever sugar is required. Okay. So like as promised, let me go into some of these disorders or things that could occur. Okay. And what I'm going to do is talk to you a little bit about, as quickly as possible, right? About each issue, and then give you some herbs that you can use to address these issues. So if you have your pens and paper ready, let's get into it. So let's talk about an issue. Now, this could be common with young girls or even older women, right? So vaginitis. Okay. Now, the vaginal canal contains a variety of organisms as well as biochemical secretions in a subtle balance. So any disturbance of this balance, okay, can lead to an unhealthy mix of disease-producing bacteria. Okay. And this often results in inflammation in the vaginal area as well as an infection, which is often called vaginitis. Anytime you see itis at the end of a word, that means inflammation in that particular part of the body. Okay. Herbs for vaginitis are natural antibiotics attacking parasitic, bacterial, and fungal infections. Okay. And they are far safer than any medical alternatives. Okay. So when you're looking at the actions of the herbs, okay, you want the demulcent and the vulnerary herbs, because this will assist in soothing and healing the damaged vaginal lining. So we're talking about herbs such as calendula, echinacea, garlic, yarrow, tea tree oil, slippery elm, okay, golden seal, myrrh. All right. So we got that. I'm going to take that out. Next is any type of stomach conditions. Okay. Herbal remedies for stomach problems, which include ulcers. All right. You can use herbs with the actions of soothing demulcents, vulneraries, okay, and anti-inflammatory medicines. All right. And the stomach conditions that could happen, are you talking about colic, cramps, colitis, diarrhea, nausea, parasites? So the herbs that you can use for that are chamomile, ginger, licorice, marshmallow, peppermint, and slippery elm. All right. Sports fitness. So my last podcast, I talked about herbal medicine for athletes. And so the actions for the herbs for athletes tend to be tonic and adaptogen herbs because these types of herbs have been shown to improve overall physical performance and endurance, as well as recovery time, pulse rate, lung capacity, back strength, and muscle power. Okay? So these are highly researched herbs that have been proven to work for those that are in sports. So if you have children that are in sports, you might want to consider these things. One is ashwagandha. Okay? It's an adaptogen herb that works on muscles and nerves to increase performance in athletes. It helps the body respond to stress. Another one is ginseng, yerba mate, and sarsaparilla. Okay, another common issue that people tend to deal with is sore throat. Herbs for sore throats, okay, can have a variety of functions. So you can use myrrh, pokeroot, sage, echinacea, licorice, mullein, all right, sage, slippery elm, wild indigo. They're good because they are soothing and protective to irritated linings of your throat. And then, of course, you want to add in anti-inflammatories because these have, well, of course, you want to add anti-inflammatories because most of these plants quickly reduce the symptoms, okay, that could occur from having a sore throat. And along line, another issue that your children could potentially deal with, especially your girls, PMS. So you can have chamomile, all right? You can also use licorice, vervain, wild yam, black cohosh, all right? Now, chamomile is a good one because it is a sedative that can help relieve uterus spasms. So if you have a daughter and she has severe cramps or severe pain, back pain, and this type of thing, chamomile would be a good option and a safer option for her. It helps calm irritability, anxiety, tension, and it tranquilizes and promotes restful sleep. Because if we don't get good sleep and we're tossing and turning because of the cramps and pain, it's going to affect and impact their ability to do and study and all that other good stuff. So the other issue is parasites. So parasites are responsible for a lot of health issues. They are at the root of a lot of common health issues. So we're talking about roundworms, tapeworms, amoebas, okay? A lot of these are a major cause of disease, and you can get them from food or pets or, tropical species, depending on where you live, okay? And so a lot of these parasitic infections, they can cause a lot of digestive issues. They could also cause candida, right? I'm sure you've heard that before, diarrhea, colitis, infections. And so you want to use herbs that can address them. So a rotating series of herbs may also be needed. Okay? An herbal treatment requires herbs. So for parasites, an herbal method requires that these herbs that you choose have to destroy the parasites. It also has to expel them, and you also want to heal the liver and the intestines, right? Because most of the parasites' life cycles, okay, it doesn't matter if they're protozoa or worms, they need to be treated for 6 to 12 weeks. So you want a rotating series of herbs that can help get rid of all aspects, all life cycles, stages of the parasite's life. Okay? So keep in mind, though, that a number of traditional anti-parasitic herbs are too toxic, right? However, okay, there are some that you can use, especially for your children, that will be fine. That's your black walnut, wormwood, golden seal, grapefruit seed extract, okay, papaya seeds, olive leaf, okay. Now, let's look at infections, okay. Herbs have been used safely for thousands of years. I can't tell you that enough. And they have been used for thousands of years to treat infections of all kind. It doesn't matter if they're viral, bacterial, or fungal. Okay? They have been able to successfully eliminate a lot of infections. So if your child has an infection of any kind, you can use herbs such as echinacea, garlic, golden seal, pau d'arco, olive leaf, neem, myrrh, lemongrass, okay, tea tree oil. Tea tree oil is good for bacteria, virus, and fungus, even the drug resistant ones. Okay? Tea tree oil is one of those that are effective in acne, candida, bites, ringworm, athlete's foot, shingles, nail infections, wounds, bronchitis, colds, sinusitis. Okay? And you can use this as a wash or even with a vaporizer so that you can get that into your lungs. Another one is immune weakness. So, of course, like I said, today everyone's talking about, oh, it's boost your immune system, boost your immune system. Well, with immune weakness, okay, what we know today is that our immune systems are overworked. Never mind the fact of what we eat. In addition to that, okay, what is in our air, what is in our water, if we are taking drugs, that could be immunosuppressive. That's what that means. It backs down your immune system. Heavy metals, various drugs, viruses, all of these things can be immunosuppressive. If you have chronic allergies, your immune system can go into imbalance. And once it's imbalanced, it can result in autoimmunity, right? So herbs are the most potent agents known for improving your immune system. Many of these herbs are what they call immune modulators. And that means either they're boosting or calming a disordered immune system. Okay? So herbs that are tonic, they are tonic in nature or adaptogenic in nature. These types of herbs have the result of reorganizing as well as revitalizing your immune system. So when you're looking at the type of herbs that you should give to your clients, especially the ones that are immunocompromised, you want to look at those tonic herbs and the adaptogenic herbs. And herbs such as astragalus, echinacea, ginseng, licorice, pau d'arco, okay, Siberian ginseng, which is an adaptogenic herb. Okay, this improves response to stress and fatigue. It also increases resistance, and it decreases the incidence of cold and flu by 40%. Siberian ginseng is also an immune stimulant that increases T cells, counteracts environmental toxins, and effects of toxic drugs. Next, headaches. Headaches are one of the common things that I see, especially when I'm out on the road talking to people. I hear a lot of people that deal with headaches. Okay? And typically with headaches, you have to rebalance the circulation because there's circulation issues. There's probably blockages somewhere. It could be an underlying infection or toxicity, especially in their digestive system or their respiratory tract. Okay, there could be some underlying issues that need to be addressed with their liver. So there's several questions that you'll have to ask to be able to determine that. But the herbs that you can use is chamomile, ginger, kava, lavender, linden, skullcap, valerian, willow. Valerian is it has a sedative action as well as pain relieving, and it calms nervous tension and anxiety. Okay. It also relieves tension, headaches by calming the muscle spasms of the neck and shoulders, as well as relieving stress and insomnia. So it has a sedative effect without you feeling drowsy and feel like you're going to fall out, basically. The next one is any type of eye conditions. So a common eye condition that you'll see, especially amongst school-age kids, is conjunctivitis or eye irritation. So herbal remedies can provide lubricating, soothing, and healing effects while being antiseptic and antimicrobial. And there are several powerful antioxidant herbs that can improve the health of those tiny arteries that supply the retina and protect the various structures of the eye and protect them from free radical damage, as well as decrease the pressure that might be inside the eye. And typically that's associated with glaucoma. But some of the herbs that you can use for that are calendula, cayenne, golden seal, eye bright. So for conjunctivitis, or as they call it, eye irritation or inflammation, usually occurs from pollutants, allergies, cold, flu, measles, all that kind of stuff. But the herb eye bright relieves the effects of the eye strain, bright lights, right? It soothes and heals bloodshot, burning, itchy eyes, light sensitivity, sticky eye gum, okay, and any type of discharge that you may have from your eye. And so you want to use this internally and as drops. It is much safer and way more effective long term than those commercial eye drops that you see out there. So any kids with conjunctivitis, make sure you have an eye bright tincture or an eye bright eye wash, something with eye bright in it so that you can help your kids if they ever catch an eye issue or you yourself catch the same thing. Now, we all pretty much know, what diarrhea is. Okay, so I'm going to give you some herbs for that. Typically, when you're looking at an herb action, what you want that action to happen, you want it to be opposite, okay, of what's actually going on. So diarrhea tends to be runny and it tends to be loose, stools and that type of stuff. So the herb action that you want to combat that is astringent, meaning that it tightens up and it binds up rather than allowing it to just flow and run freely. And so many anti-diarrhea herbs are simple astringents. Like I said before, it dries up the secretions as well as tones your intestinal tract. So some of these herbs are bayberry, chamomile, cinnamon, geranium, peppermint, oak, raspberry leaf, yarrow, golden seal, and meadowsweet. So if your kid has diarrhea, or you yourself may have that, make sure that you have an herbal remedy on hand, utilizing some of these herbs to help that particular issue. And make sure as you are doing your herbal remedies and stuff like that, that you are labeling them. Make sure that you put the date that you made it, what it's for, how much you need to give, how often you need to give it, as well as an expiration date. That way hey, I need to cycle this out, make a new one, need to use this one. Or if obviously nothing's going on and I don't need to use it, then I can, move it on to somewhere else or to someone else. Or maybe someone in your community might be doing the same thing. And it's like, hey, I don't really need this anymore. Can we swap? Because I know your son was sick and he had the runs. I know this could help. You know what I'm saying? So think about it like that. Depression. So especially if you have teenagers, you may run into this issue of depression. Now, depression can either be something biological, it could be something psychological, but either way, you want to make sure that you deal with it with your children. Like I said, keep in constant communication. Today, in this information age, they are being inundated with so much junk. I'm just going to say it. So much junk that their little minds has to learn how to process every single thing that's in their way. Everything. How to process it, how to use it, and it's coming so fast, so much information that I don't even think us as parents can keep up. We really have to just be dang near watching everything they're watching to make sure that it's not foolishness and that we can help them process whatever it might be that they're watching. But if that is not the case, you may run into a child that may have low self-esteem, right? Poor appetite, weight loss or gain, sleep disturbances, lack of interest in anything, poor concentration, indecision, or even at the far worst end of the spectrum, suicidal thoughts. So depression is a very, very serious thing. In addition to having conversations with your child or getting them in touch with someone that they can actually have some conversations with, and be careful with that. Make sure it's a trusted person, because you don't want them to mess your child's mind up more than when you handed them to. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm a real big proponent. Talk to your kids. Start while they're little and build that relationship so that way as they get older and they're going through life, they really want to have a conversation with you. So for depression, you have lemon balm, rosemary, skullcap, valerian, vervain, ginseng, black cohosh, Black cohosh is really good because it helps dark depression from emotional trauma as well as hormonal imbalance. It has sedative properties, but it's very effective for irritability and anxiety, especially issues centered around your menses or your PMS, menopausal syndromes, and it works for male and females. All right, so we talked about the cough earlier. Now, typically, when you cough or the body is coughing, it is trying to get rid of any type of irritants or whatever could be stuck in your throat. So a random cough is not anything you need to run and go get some herbs for. All right, but if it's a persistent cough to where your body is struggling to get it out of your throat, then that's where, okay, it needs a little help, right? It needs a little help. With a cough, okay, there are herbs that have a specific affinity to the chest and lung area. So the actions that you want to look for are the pectorals. Now, you don't want to specifically focus on suppressing the cough, okay? You want to address the issue of the cough, and you won't have to take stuff that suppresses it directly. You want to be able to soothe the irritated bronchial tubes while using expirants, as I call them, because it helps to expel tough mucus that might be tight and lodged up in there. And then, of course, if there's any type of bacteria or viral issues going on, then you can use herbs that are antibacterial as well as antiviral. And many of the cough formulas that are available out there today, they combine these various properties. And it's very important. Use a variety of herbs in this particular formula that can hit this issue from different angles rather than using a single herb. So some of these herbs are eucalyptus, horehound, hyssop, Irish moss, licorice, and mullein. And I'm sure you guys have heard of these before, because you are an herbalist. And maybe some of them you haven't. That's okay. Constipation. All right. Now, I'm old school in the fact that, listen, just get them kids a big bowl of okra. It's slimy. I get it. But let's say you don't want to use okra. You can always use aloe, dandelion, peppermint. Senna is really good. It's a very strong, stimulating laxative, which also softens the stool. And it works typically within 10 hours. Sometimes it can work sooner than that. This should not be taken, if you're using senna, I'm going to give you a caution for that, for more than 2 weeks to avoid weakening your bowels. Okay? And this can cause cramping. So you want to try to combine it with other herbs to combat that particular aspect of it. All right? Flaxseed is also very good. It's also good for gas. Now, earlier we talked about cold and flu. So I'm going to give you some herbs for cold and flu. Astragalus, boneset, cayenne, echinacea, garlic, ginger, golden seal, peppermint, yarrow. If your child is dealing with any type of yeast infections, okay, candida or any type of yeast, typically you'll be able to know it if you look on their tongue. They call it thrush, or all this white mucousy stuff on top of the tongue, very thick. Okay, you want to look at that. If that is the case, then you want to look at using black walnut, garlic, golden seal, tea tree oil, olive leaf, oregano oil. Now, oregano oil, I recommend that with everything. Okay, it's a very strong antiseptic. It's effective as an anti-candida herb. You can take it in capsules. Okay, or if you have any type of yeast infection on the top of your skin. Okay, depending on what's going on, it has been shown to inhibit Candida albicans. So oregano oil is one of those things that, it's just amazing. You can do a lot with it. And of course, holy basil, it's a traditional Ayurvedic herb for chronic yeast infections. So take a look at that one as well. If there's any type of asthma, okay, you can use licorice, mullein, nettles, spikenard, wild thyme. That's a good one. Okay. And typically, during the fall, you may deal with those type of issues, as well as any type of circulatory system issues. Okay. So this could be any heart conditions, circulation issues in the veins, high cholesterol, that type of stuff. So if there are any type of heart conditions, you can look at curcumin, dong quai, green tea, olive leaf, red sage. If there's circulation issues in the veins, cayenne, garlic, ginger, stone root, witch hazel. So there are a variety of herbs that you can use to address a variety of issues this season for yourself, for your families, for your clients, and for your children, most importantly, right? So like I said before, fortify your children's bodies first by what you put in their mouth, by what you put in their lunch boxes. Make sure it's fresh fruit in there. Make sure that it's not stuff laced with artificial flavors, colors, sugars, sweeteners, and all that. Because if you suppress your immune system through these things, it's going to make it harder for it to fight for you. It is fighting for you so hard every day because it is taking in everything you are ingesting, from your water, from your air, never mind the psychological things that you deal with on a day-to-day basis that can also suppress your immune system, that could also suppress your children's immune system. So it's a lot that you have to think about. It's not just a pop a pill and boom, we're good, or just boost your vitamin C and you'll be all right. It's a multi-layered thing that you need to focus on, especially with your children. And every now and again, take a day or two and say, hey kids, we're just eating fruits and vegetables this time. Help them clean out their little systems, okay? But most importantly, make sure that they get rest, especially during their school season. Make sure that you have constant conversations with them every day to check their mental health status, to make sure that they're not getting bullied. If they're, teenagers, understand what is typically happens, all right, at every stage of your child's life. So that way you don't get shocked when you're like, oh, they're always trying to listen to their friends. They don't want to hear nothing I say. It's like, oh, are they a teenager? Yeah. Well, typically teenagers want to listen more to their peers. It's just a stage, right? It's just a phase. Even though, yes, some of their friends out there, you're like, you really listening to them? Like, they don't look like they can tie their shoe. Fortify your home. Have your sheets clean. Make sure they're sleeping on good pillows. If you have pets, then you need to vacuum, clean the air more often than not. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm going to have to say this. Stop letting your dogs lick you in the mouth. If I could get a microscopic view of what you're allowing sitting plastered on your face or your children's face, and then what enters into their mouth and all their other orifices, trust me, it's not a good thing. Not a good thing. But above all, make sure that you start now, okay, with your medicine cabinets. Start preparing your herbs. Start getting all the oils and the other things that I recommended here. Lavender, oregano oil, tea tree oil, okay, chamomile. And don't make it difficult. Keep it simple. So that way you can keep it up. If you have white pine in your area, that is a very, very, very vital herb for you to have. Go ahead and get it. Matter of fact, get it out today. Find out where it is in your area. Make sure you identify it properly and use it. So I hope that I've given you, and I know I've given you a lot because it's like 45 minutes right now. I'm looking at the video. I'm like, oh, it's going to take forever to download. But it's okay. I was excited to give this information because I've been reading, what do I do to fortify the immune system? How do I prepare them? What happens next? This is how you prepare them. And every single day, okay, every single day, give them a little ginger chew or something to kind of help their tummies out, digesting foods and that type of stuff. Okay, and if you allow them to eat their vitamins, you won't have to worry all the time about shoving them with vitamins. I'm not saying I'm against them or anything, but some of this stuff is nothing more than gelatin, sugar, and coloring. Okay, so allow them to eat more of their vitamins and you won't have to worry about supplementing those things. All right, so I'm going to end it here because I can talk all day long, but I'm going to end it here. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's episode. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, thank you all for who have been commenting on my videos. I appreciate it. I try to comment as quickly as I can. If I don't get back with you in 24 hours, please bear with me. I promise you I'm going to get back to you. I always appreciate talking to you and hearing you guys' stories. So don't stress out this year. Just have a plan. Believe, pray, cover your children in prayer. I can't say that enough. The times are getting crazy out here. Pray over your children. Pray over yourself. Okay? You don't believe in prayer? I ain't got nothing to do with that. And if you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on all of my social media platforms at The Demystified Herbalist. If you need any herbal products, check out my website, thedemystifiedherbalist.square.site. You can find my respiratory tea on there. You can find Eastern White Pine on there, antibacterial oils on there. So feel free to check that out. Go get you some supplies, add them to your herbal medicine cabinet. And until next time, family, I'm out.